Hey guys, it's Andrew John Hunter here and welcome back to another video. For those of you who have been watching my channel, you would know I own several Chuck E. Cheese Cyberamics, or Animatronics as most would say. I've created several videos of them performing songs, demonstrating how the program I used to animate them works, and even conducted an unboxing video when I received Jasper back in 2020. But I never gone into detail on how I managed to get a hold of these characters, so I thought today would be a good opportunity. However, before I start, let me tell you what influenced me to get these animatronics. Ever since I was 11, I have always had a fascination with animatronics, way before Finance and Phrase was even a thing. This was mainly from Disney parks, Showbiz Pizza, and even Chuck E. Cheese. I've never seen the rocket fire explosion in person, but I have seen a one-stage Cyberamic show in person numerous times, the one formerly at Deptford, New Jersey in my case. Seeing these characters perform was always a highlight of my visits to the restaurant. It was around this same time that I watched the Rocket Fire documentary that was released way back in 2008, and it was that film that cemented my dream of owning a Chuck E. Cheese or Showbiz animatronic. Of course, since I was a kid back then, there was no way this was gonna happen, so I would just research them and try to learn more about these animatronics. I did stumble across that restoration series of a Pizza Time Theater show being restored to its former glory, and that helped to give me an idea of what these animatronics look like beneath the fur. I didn't even know anything about Pizza Time Theater until I saw that series, so that was new for me. Anyways, as we fast forward to August 2020, it was that moment where the silly idea at the back of my head became a reality. While on eBay, I searched up Chuck E. Cheese animatronic, as I often did from time to time, and there I saw a bare restored frame of a Jasper T. Giles Pizza Time Theater animatronic. He did not come with his cosmetics, he had 3D printed hands, and his clipper valve bank was replaced with a mix of Baomoid and AirTac solenoids, both wired up to a DB25 Terminal breakout controller. At first, I was a bit hesitant to get this Jasper since he didn't come with his cosmetics, but then I thought, maybe a pair of cosmetics will pop up at some point in the future. And since I was taking pneumatic courses at college during this time, my mom thought this would be a good learning experience for me. So from there, I purchased the bot, and on September 8th, 2020, Jasper arrived. At this time though, I didn't have any controllers for the animatronic, so in the meantime I would just manually operate the movement. I also went ahead and ordered a micro-blued 24 controller from dsfrobots.com, which took a while to arrive, I will say. But it eventually did in early 2021, and that was when the fun began. After that, this is how things stayed before 2024. Of course, minor changes would have been made to the Jasper animatronic, such as adding flow control valves or replacing the left Armstrong cylinder, and I did put some clothes on him. Unfortunately, in late 2021, while I was at work, his 3D printed hands broke while my dad and brother moved him into my new house. So yeah, he was stuck handless for a good long period until I made some temporary hands out of foam board in early 2024. Speaking of that year, that was when things took off. In early January 2024, I stumbled across a listing of what appeared to be a rundown Munch Cyberamic. Upon closer inspection, I found that it was a two-stage Munch Cyberamic. It was in filthy condition, he didn't come with his cosmetics, and he didn't even come with his valve bank. Other than that though, the bot was still mechanically intact. I didn't know why, but for some reason, I felt like I could actually restore this animatronic. However, since this was an eBay auction, I couldn't just buy him right off the bat, and would instead have to bid on him. So I waited until the last day to start placing my bids. As the days went on, the price did increase, but not at an extremely high rate. Eventually, the last hour loomed ahead, and I kept refreshing the page. I placed my max bid towards the last second, and I got outbid. I figured that would have happened, so I just went off about my night and didn't dwell on it. In February though, another animatronic was listed by the same seller, this being Chuck E. Cheese himself. He was in a similar condition to Munch, with Chuck missing a leg, his wooden base being broken off at the end, but he at least had his clipper valves. Upon seeing this, I thought, why not give it another shot? It wouldn't hurt to try with this character. So like last time, I waited until the last minute to place my max bid, and I wasn't outbid. I refreshed the page, and there it was. Congratulations, you won the auction. I was ecstatic. I even pinched myself to see if I was dreaming, but I wasn't. And so Chuck arrived via freight on February 13th, 2024. I'm not going to go into detail on the restoration progress of these bots, but to keep it short, whenever I receive a bot, I would always analyze the condition of them and try to figure out what's missing, what needs to be fixed, or in some cases, replaced if a piece is too damaged to be reused. In hindsight, Chuck's restoration didn't go so smoothly, as I made mistakes such as removing the yellow zinc undercoat, which at the time I didn't know was important to prevent rust from forming on the metal. However, these mistakes were rectified once they were pointed out. So now I was up to 2 characters at this point, and it would stay this way until March of the same year. I was scrolling on a Reddit page about animatronics, and that's when someone posted an eBay link to a listing that said Chuck E. Cheese Munch animatronic / Kane / Jasper / Munch? I was pretty confused by this and decided to give it a look. Upon look at the pictures, it wasn't Jasper, it wasn't the Kane, but it was Munch. As I looked closer, I realized something. This wasn't just a Munch Cyberamic, but it was the very same one I lost back in January. The only thing different was the missing left iris that it previously had. Upon discovering this, I submitted an offer to the seller, which was accepted, and eventually, Munch arrived. Unlike with Chuck, I had guidance from people who are experienced with restoring Cyberamics while fixing Munch, and I would say Munch required a lot more mechanical work than Chuck. I had to remove the shoulder bar along with the neck piece just to remove the shaft that goes into the base of the figure because it was pretty bent. Overall, it took longer to fix Munch than with Chuck, but I was more satisfied with the results. Before I end this video, you're probably curious about which restaurant these animatronics originated from. While I don't know which restaurant Jasper came from, I do know where Munch and Chuck came from. Both bots originated from the San Bernardino location in California. This restaurant opened as a Pizza Time theater, but it was later remodeled into a 2-stage location. Unfortunately, it closed down in June 2020 due to the COVID-19 pandemic and the company's 2020 bankruptcy. However, unlike most locations where they destroy their animatronics once the location closes or gets the 2.0 treatment, Munch, Chucky, and Pasquale were instead put into storage with their cosmetics either destroyed or damaged. Pasquale would later be owned by YouTuber Gabe Studios, while Jasper and Helen went into the hands of private collectors. And fun fact, Pasquale was being sold by the same seller who sold Chuck and Munch initially. With all that said, that's pretty much all I got for today. I'm still looking for cosmetics for these characters. As a matter of fact, I did manage to snag a shirt and bandana for Jasper and a pair of shoes for Munch, but I still have a long road ahead of me. I hope you've enjoyed this video, give it a big thumbs up if you liked it, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye bye!